I'd love to be cooking out of my sun oven every day, but
Sure.
I'm just not at that point. But, I just want to be in control over everything that I can be, from my water to my food to just everything. Everything is so warped and we have
Yeah.
lost complete control. And I don't think it's definitely a generational thing. It's hard to explain to like an older generation, but um, it's pretty bad. And I don't want to raise the next generation of people, my children, and go so on and so forth. I won't do that. And I know the repercussions of it and I see it going nowhere good. So if I can,
Right.
do something and set that tone to keep going forward, like so many others are, we may just be in a better place.
This is the Farm Hop Life Podcast, a traveling homestead family. I'm Matt DeRosier. On the Farm Hop Life Podcast, we learn what it takes to grow your own food from everyday people. Could be a college student, grows tomatoes and salad greens on their apartment patio, a former VP of marketing for Del Taco now raising cattle in Montana, or someone who hasn't had a homestead in over 10 years. This show is aimed at teaching you what it takes to make homesteading work for you, that we all make mistakes, we all have bad days, but we can reach out and help one another thrive, and giving you the confidence needed to go feed yourself.
Montana is like our goal destination someday.
Really?
Yeah. More like the mountains, but yeah, definitely.
Didn't you just move to New Hampshire?
I did. Yeah. We were actually I'm from Massachusetts, and I still work there. My husband does as well. But we were living in Maine, and that just was not for us. So we're in New Hampshire, but right on the Mass border. So it's kind of get the best of both worlds. I have access to family and work, but I can live the life that I want to live here.
Sure. Is that in any way tied to like the Free State Project, or you just like you found New Hampshire on your own and wanted to move there?
I think we always had a connection to it because it's a little more. It is more free, but it wasn't. Our decision was not tied to any movement. I'm actually not aware of that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now you have to look into it.
Yeah.
Like, no. Oh, cool.
But no, we just love it here, and it felt right. And I think we thought we would have more freedom going just that much farther in Maine, but it was actually the exact opposite. So had to get out.
I've actually never been to Maine or New Hampshire, so I'm curious what was it about Maine that didn't feel right?
Well, one, the distance, it was too far for work, and then we just had a lot of restrictions, silly things, but things that added up, and long term it was not playing out well. It was, we had land, but we couldn't utilize it. There were a lot of restrictions with what you could do and couldn't do. Like, I couldn't have my pigs. They had a swine restriction. Yeah, just odd things. Like, we had a well, which is ideal for me, but it was controlled by the town. It just odd things that didn't fit. Yeah. It was a well that it had it was monitored like town water would be, but it was a dug well on our property.
That is odd. I've never heard of anything like that before.
We didn't either until we were wondering why we were having a water bill. So yeah, it wasn't for me. So this is where I like to be for now. When I'm older, or if we hit the lottery, I'd love to be in Montana, but this is good for now. And we have an okay amount of land. You get like just enough, and then you want more, but it's good.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what questions do you have for me?
Just let's start at the top of the list. So how did you get into like homesteading and the pigs? And surprisingly, you're not the first person I've interviewed with a rescue pig.
Really? Okay. Yeah, no, I'm the only one I know with them. Let's see. I guess the pigs are a little bit different. I think any sort of homesteading topic is like, it's separate. The pigs are just pets.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I guess I can kind of, the pigs are a quicker story. So
All
long
right.
story, I've been in animal rescue and all of that. Majority of like my young adult to adult life, pretty much just like dogs, cats, small animals. And at one point, I had come across a documentary about factory farming, which I'm completely against, like totally against factory farming, not necessarily against farming, but on that large scale industrial part, like no go. So with that being said, I saw this documentary of an open rescue and it had to do with pigs, and just something really opened my eyes to that. And it really affected me. I didn't know much about pigs. I didn't really feel any sort of way, but after seeing that, it compelled me to look further into it and to see how this cycle was. And it kind of branched off from there. Like, you know, what is factory farming? Like, how is our food being produced? Like, how are these animals being treated? It was just this whole spectrum, and it just grew. But the idea of these animals just suffering like that, I never could get it out of my mind. And I said one day when I have the land and the ability, I would want to rescue a farm pig, which is the pigs bred for meat production. So they're larger. It's not a pot belly. My girls are between, my smallest is like 250. My largest is around 800. So they're large. They're big. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a big pig.
Yeah.
That's like at the state fair. I don't know, like some of those pigs weigh like over 1,000 pounds, and your pigs are not that far from hitting that benchmark.
No. Especially for females. Petunia is my largest, and she's pretty big. She can be intimidating. So, yeah, the opportunity came up where there was a situation with a farmer who had purchased a different farm, couldn't take her, and there was a chance that if she didn't find her home, her fate may have been slaughter. That's not what she wanted, but that was kind of where it was headed. So I took Petunia. Pigs are naturally companion animals. A lone pig is a very depressed pig. So,
Sure.
yeah, so I ended up getting Lulu. And then recently I got Rosie because somebody sent me her news article, and why not? So,
That's really funny.
yeah. So we just have an odd mix funny farm here.
An odd mix funny farm.
Yeah. I don't
I
know
like
what.
that.
Yeah.
So a little bit about what else that you've got going on your property. How many acres are you on?
We have 3 acres.
3 acres. That's a good size.
It's pretty good. Yeah. We have about an acre fenced in. So I guess in some ways it does feel a little bit cut off. And we're working to clear out part of the front of our house, which is bordering a lot of woods. So we're trying to maximize our property line and clear things out for fruit trees and all of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're really just getting established. So you said you're clearing out for fruit trees. So
Yeah.
what are your plans? So like to have like an orchard of like apples, pears, like anything like that?
Yeah. So we got a little bit of a slow start. We moved here in 2021, kind of a pandemic move. I was pregnant at the time. And then we had a newborn, and then, we had to do stuff with the house. So we've been slowly getting everything into place. And our big project last year was getting the pig pen and the barn built. So that was like a year-long project. So now it took forever. It was long. So now we're really starting to figure out how we want to plant things, what we're zoned for, what we could do the best with. And yeah, so fruit trees, and I keep looking out that window because that's where I'm putting everything.
I can see it.
So our neighbors actually have apples and pears. So I know we can do Asian pears. So I want to do that. And then I would like to do berry bushes. I know those grow well here. So raspberries, blackberries, blueberries. I like to do a lot with fruit, with canning and all that. So I get a lot of my stuff at local farms, but it's silly when I can do it myself. So yeah.
Yeah, that is true. First of all, congratulations on the child.
Thank you.
Second of all, congratulations on the barn. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That was his accomplishment. He built that. So yeah.
I was gonna say, is your win for the year the child, and your husband's is the barn? Like, yes, I got a barn.
Having to do the barn. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
That's a big year. I mean,
Yeah.
like having a child in the middle of any project, whether it be big or small, like adds just like everything takes 10 times longer, and you're just way like stressed out, tired. I mean, everything. You're irritable. Everything's a problem when you could just shrug it off. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, we can get through this, but it doesn't feel like it at the time. Like, I'm mad.
Yeah. It depended on the day. Most of the time it was pretty good, but, there were days where it would, like during the drought when it was pushing up, and, he ended up with a minor heat stroke a couple times.
Oh, geez. That's not good.
No, he's a firefighter and a paramedic, so he knows when to quit. But yeah,
man,
it was a hot, long summer. Yeah.
So let's see. So you mentioned the canning, right?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Did your mom can? Did your grandma can? Like, where did you learn how to or get interested in doing that stuff?
Yeah. So I guess the homestead journey, if you will, I feel like we're so in the beginning of it. It's hard to even put myself in that box, but I guess I do consider myself there, but maybe outside looking in, you wouldn't necessarily think that. Like, I think you're 25 steps ahead of me.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, from what I've seen, I think you're doing pretty good. But, everybody's on their own journey. But mine basically started, I don't know. I guess I did grow up with a lot of domestication with my mom canning things, sewing, and growing small amounts of food, but still doing things like vegetables, herbs, things like that. But the real kicker for me that got everything jump started was when I just started getting sick from, the modern food system. Yeah. So when was it? 2017, I think, 2016, 2017. I started having a lot of health issues, and I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't doing anything different. I think my whole life, I've been healthy, or so I thought. I grew up on a better version of the standard American diet, ate shredded wheat for breakfast with, just organic milk and, all this stuff. But it was, how our food system is. It's it's pretty bad. So the things that I was enjoying, and I was thinking, a whole grain breakfast and, A, B, and C, and a nice like fish and pasta dinner or whatever. All of these things were kind of working against my body. And over time, it just built up a resistance to it. And I got really, really sick. So to this day, I'm completely gluten and grain intolerant. I cannot tolerate any gluten, any grain.
Wow.
Yeah. Severe dairy allergy. So it doesn't affect my stomach, but I'll have a systemic like inflammatory reaction. I don't like it anyways, but still. Yeah, just no, I can't metabolize sugar. So I'm pretty much on a paleo, super clean diet. But before I realized that that's how I have to live and how I have to eat, I had to stop, backtrack, and figure all of this out. Like what is doing this to me? Like, because it got to the point where I couldn't eat anything. I didn't know what to eat. I didn't know what to do. Yeah. No doctor could tell me. They were sending me home with, inconclusive results. Like, you look great. Everything's fine. Take some charcoal capsules. So,
gee, thanks. Can I eat as many to get to 2,000 calories a day?
Right. Yeah, I could go on about this, but basically I ended up finding a holistic doctor and he is an internist, so he's an MD, and he still holds that license. But as an MD, he realized this isn't the only way to treat people. There has to be a better way. There has to be another way. So he started doing, holistic medicine, and he uses kinesiology and muscle testing. I don't know if you know anything about that.
I think a little bit. Why don't you explain what that means?
Yeah, so I'm probably going to botch this, but basically,
That's all right.
he can test the way certain things, whether it be medication, food, whatever, how it reacts within your body and what your body may reject. So he was able to help break that down with exactly what I can and what I cannot eat. So I can't eat rice, but I can eat quinoa. I can't eat a russet potato, but I can have a red potato. Super. I know it was strange, but I was so desperate. I was willing to try anything. So with his help, I was able to really get myself back in order. And it took a long time, especially healing my gut. My gut was completely destroyed. So lots of bone broth. That's been vital. That's what's, I think, has healed me, to be honest. And
Sure.
yeah, so after the food sensitivities, I ended up being diagnosed with pretty severe undiagnosed infertility. So I've had really bad struggles with that. My son is an IVF baby. I tried not to go that route. It's a lot of meds, but had to. And I think a lot of Western medicine things and food issues, I really do believe contributed to that, because there's no real reason. My issue is I can't carry a baby to term. So I've had multiple losses, and the only way to do that is through the IVF process. So we're actually going through it again now. But I really think that, with IVF and with the way I live, I'm able to have successful pregnancies with that bit of help now. But I really do think that that's what's totally just thrown my body off. So with all of that in my not near past, I just said enough is enough. I'm not going to live like this anymore. Even going to Whole Foods and finding, the best of the best organic produce, I still don't really trust it. Maybe a little bit more than the bigger stores, but I want to know everything from what's in the water that's going into these plants. It's all coming from my well, or we have a water source out back. I want to know every single thing, like start to finish, what is going into my food. And of course, there's certain things that I can't grow here and I would find the appropriate sources for. But yeah, I'm just done with it. And I won't raise my son like that. And I'm pretty strict about how we live our lives and as being as clean as possible.
Wow, that's crazy. I had heard of a guy, I don't remember his name or where I heard this,
Mm-hmm.
but he had such a sensitivity that he has a list of something like 22 foods that he can eat. And every once in a while he deviates. He's like, oh, I'll try this. And usually it does not work out well for him.
Yeah.
I don't remember his condition or anything, but man, that's a short list. And when you can only eat, 22 things, and what the outcome is if you deviate, you get the best quality that you can get because that's all you're going to eat, right?
That's very similar to, I don't know my exact number of what I can, but if I do play around, I know what's going to happen. So
right.
It's not worth it.
Also, congratulations on the successful IVF. That's tricky.
Yeah.
That's very, that seems also stressful. Like, is this going to take? Is it not going to take? And that's
Thank
a whole
you.
other thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And good luck this time around too. I'm sure your lifestyle will help contribute to that success. So
I really do. All you can do is try.
Do you make your own bone broth, or do you like barter or get with like a neighbor to they provide it, or?
Not yet. We're in the process of learning that. I should be making it. There's no reason why I should be buying it. Right now, I buy Kettle and Fire, the organic.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good, and I can't say enough about it. I don't think I'd be as far as I have been without bone broth. Like I never knew the benefits, but it's great. So no, the idea is to make my own.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious, and it's like you had mentioned earlier, you know, I'm not sure I'm a homesteader, that kind of thing. Like the homesteading, like gatekeeping, is super annoying to me. You know, like it totally prevents somebody from like opening up, like, and asking for help. Like, hey, teach me how to do this thing, and but like I don't, you know, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or I'm not as good as these people or whatever. Like, no, stop. Like, we need to stop that. Like, just ask for help. And for the most part, people are willing to help. Like, I don't get where this gatekeeping came from. Like, you're not a real homesteader, because I don't know, whatever. It's just a dumb word anyways. Like, what else do you want to be called, right?
I guess I don't really have a terminology for the way I live, but I mean, if you're comparing to Doug and Stacy, I mean, I would love that. You know, I'd love to be cooking out of my sun oven every day, but
Sure.
like, I'm just not at that point. But you know, I just want to be in control over everything that I can be, from my water to my food to just everything. Everything is so warped, and we have lost complete control. And I don't think it's definitely a generational thing. It's hard to explain to like an older generation, but you know, it's pretty bad. And I don't want to raise the next generation of people, you know, my children, and so on and so forth. I won't do that, and I know the repercussions of it, and I see it going nowhere good. So if I can,
Right,
you know, do something and set that tone to keep going forward, like so many others are, you know, we may just be in a better place.
yeah, this cannot hurt. They're going to have their own challenges. So if
Right.
they know how to do this thing, that's a problem for us right now. They'll be just that one step ahead of their peers and whoever else. So they're gonna get a better start.
Right. Yeah. There's so many skills, like, you know, cooking, and everything is DoorDash and takeout. And like, I don't think I've ever DoorDashed once. You know, every meal that we eat, I pretty much cook here, or I meal prep, and I have things frozen that I can take out, but I made it all.
Yes.
Like, I tell you exactly what's in it. And, you know, it's shocking how many people just don't cook. They don't have basic skills. They, you know, if the power went out and you had dirty laundry, like, how are you going to wash it? Like, what are you going to do? People would freak out. Like, take a bucket and a plunger and go outside. Like, you know, it's so simple. It's like, you have to have this, I guess it's a different mindset. Like,
It
you know,
is. Absolutely it is.
is that my preference? Do I do that? No. But like, could I? Yeah, if I had to, I would. But you know, like, it's just simple things, and the schools aren't teaching it, not any around here. So I think it's up to parents and, you know, families to do these as traditions and, I don't know, life skills. Does any of that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense, and I agree 100%. There's a guy I interviewed last year who lives up in Alaska. They live in a dry cabin, and so they dig a hole, and the hole, like, he and his wife has 6 kids, and so they dig a hole, poop in that hole, and when the hole's full, they cover it up, dig another hole. And I like just the way, like you mentioned, doing laundry. I've watched them, like, he'll like post a picture of like how they do laundry, where like he stands guard watching for bears while his wife and kids do the laundry. I'm like, your kids are going to be as tough as nails, and I wouldn't want to compete with them in anything, because they're just going to be so much tougher than I'd be like fold over soft compared to these kids. It's going to be just unreal, but they're going to be better for it.
Yeah, none of that can hurt. It's only building on life skills that you otherwise wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit about what you've already started. So what kind of things have you started that have worked or that are working?
Let's see. As far as like, where do you
So
want?
let's say like your pig pen. So like how many like the current pig pen that you have right now, like that's working. The pigs are in, they're happy, they're healthy,
Yeah.
or do they escape?
No, never. So that was the big thing. Obviously mine are pets, but even with any livestock situation, I post all my trials and tribulations on Instagram, so everyone can see how I've fallen on my face with this. Proper infrastructure is so important. And if you don't have it, it makes your life so difficult for no reason. Like it does not need to be that hard, but it's trial and error.
Right.
We started off with, let me see, 10 corral panels, 10, 12-foot corral panels. And that was Petunia's original pen. And then we built off of that. And then we built off of that again. So now we have, I don't know the measurements, but it's big. I couldn't even tell you if I wanted to, but basically it's like a couple 100 feet. And it's, I think it's 5 boards tall. I live here. You'd think I'd know that. My husband did it creatively. So the boards at the bottom are closer together. And as they get taller, and it gets towards the top, they get wider apart. And that's
Sure.
basically so no one can put their nose in and start to move up a board. And it also keeps the dogs out because I have one very aggressive dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does it keep the pigs in line?
She keeps everything in line. She's actually from Montana originally.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah. So
They make some of the best dogs.
Yeah. I'd say she's my first line of defense for my property. So I love her.
What breed?
She's a Caucasian of Sharka.
Whoa. Don't
Yeah.
they get like 180 pounds?
Not a female.
No?
Yeah, no, she's like 135. You want to come in? Come on. No, she won't move. Let's see.
That is a big dog.
Beautiful. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a giant dog.
Yeah.
I remember years ago I saw online somebody was like, "Hey, check out these Caucasian shepherds. They're used to hunt bears in Russia." And I was like, for the longest time, like, I need this bear hunting dog, even though I've never been bear hunting in my life. Really wanted that dog, but then I was like, man, that is a lot of dog for somebody.
Yeah.
I don't like, you wouldn't want that in your house because the males I think do get to like 180 to 220 depending, I guess. And man, that is a big dog. Now if I've got livestock outside, sure, like that's different. But boy, that is a big dog for like, just for like the cool factor. And that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
Like there's
a lot
130 pounds, like that's like a good sized German Shepherd, right? So that's not outrageous.
I've had a German Shepherd and she was not that big.
No?
So Duchess is just, I don't know. She has a job. She does her job very well, but I tell people she's not a pet. She's a family member, but she is not a pet. And if you think of that, you're going to be very disappointed. So she's a lot of work. She does not like the pigs, hence why we have built them. Yeah, does not like them at all. So
weird.
She likes my new pig. They have a weird relationship, but no, I would never. They never share the yard at the same time. We have to Duchess proof the pen.
Do you think the dog would kill the pigs?
I don't think she would kill them because they would put up a fight, but it would be a nightmare. And we have a foolproof system and we do not deviate from it. And our farm sitter and anyone that watches the animals is very aware of it. So there's an electric fence. We've had to up the joules, but that and the pigs know, they don't bother with her. They know she can't get to them. But yeah, we have a very elaborate system, and we don't sway from it.
So what else has there ever been a problem between the dogs and the pigs that you had to, up the infrastructure so much, or?
Yes. So we had to take our current electric fence down. I think it was the lowest one that Tractor Supply sells. I don't know, what's that, 1.7 joules, something like that. And we have that running all around the pen. We have 3 rows of wire, and Duchess just doesn't care. She rips it right down with her teeth and just deals with it.
Whoa.
She'll clamp down and pull and then let go, and she rips it right off. So she ripped off 2 rows, and then she got her nose in there, and Petunia bit her, and I don't blame her. Don't be rude. Yeah,
don't be rude.
I mean, there's only so much you can take. So she didn't do any damage, but she's like, get out of my space. So
sure.
She has to defend herself, but they're very tolerant of her because it's like, oh, it's this barking thing. She goes out there, she barks at them for a couple minutes, and then she walks away. But she just has to make it known that she's not happy. Yeah. So, anyways, we're getting a 6 joule charger.
That'll bite back.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah. They didn't have anything in between. So that's the next step. But yeah, other than that, we haven't had any issues. So yeah.
Good. That's good. So that sounds crazy, like a crazy time and it's never a good thing when you have to when things break and things get ripped apart, that you have to rebuild it and try to make it better. Man, I kind of thought that was a good system. I guess it's not that great anymore.
No, I know.
Fix this.
Yeah. So what the idea is to get chickens next. So we're kind of learning. I think we started so big and now we're working our way down. So I'm hoping all of our mess ups with the pigs will translate really good success for a chicken coop.
Yeah. So for first question, what what breed of chickens are you going to get? Or are you going to get a mixed flock?
I don't know. So I want to do an heirloom bird for sure. I want to do meat chickens and laying hens. So I would have to get that from a hatchery. I'm not going to go down to Tractor Supply. Not my thing. So I don't really know. I don't want anything that's been modified to overproduce. So
like the Cornish cross.
Yes. Oh no. I hate that bird. Not only are they not the nicest, I mean, anything that collapses and can die under the weight of its own body after 12 weeks, that's crazy. Yeah. We
did 25 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I guess we had a really good, I talked to a couple farmers afterwards, and apparently we had a really good feed to weight conversion ratio, because after 7 weeks, the average weight of the processed was 5.5 pounds. And normally the birds that you get in the grocery store are 3 to 4 pounds. And so,
wow.
So they were these massive birds. And we had gotten, this is such a first world problem. It's embarrassing. We had just gotten a, what the heck are they called now? They're air fryer. There you go. An air fryer, and it has a rotisserie option.
Okay.
I'm like, that's cool. We've got all these meat birds. We can have awesome rotisserie chicken. The birds were too big to fit in the air fryer. This is dumb. But we do make our own homemade chicken nuggets out of that meat. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I make chicken nuggets for my son. I do. He's so young that he doesn't know the difference. So I actually do liver nuggets for him.
Oh, hey, that's cool. What do those taste like?
I wouldn't eat it. So
You're not one of those organ meat people.
Yeah, no, not really. I'm sure it's really good for you, but no, he's grown up on fermented vegetables and organ meat.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like you're looking more for like a Rhode Island, Red Ranger, Red Ranger for like a meat bird. They only take 12 to 16 weeks. They're longer than a Cornish cross, but I think that's that heritage breed that you're looking for a meat bird.
Yeah, I haven't. The coop's not built. We don't even have that. So
Sure.
The pigs were a different situation, but in a perfect world, I would not obtain any animal without the infrastructure. So
of course, yeah. Same here.
Yeah. So, so when I kind of go down that road, but hopefully this summer we'll get into that. Maybe later in the summer. I don't know the best time of year for that. We deal with all 4 seasons here, so ideally not winter.
Sometimes all in one day.
Yeah. Oh, you have no idea. It can get.
Right. So your chicken coop, is it going to be stationary then, or are you going to do like a chicken tractor type thing?
So my husband wants to have a stationary coop, but also do a tractor. And we have eagles and hawks that live in the trees. So we can't really allow for complete free range because they would just get second. So some sort of constant enclosure, but a good amount of space. So I'm not sure how that's going to look. I let him design all of this. He's really good at that. And he does his research. So I just take care of all the animals and he builds.
Hey, I need you to build me this. I'm on it.
Well, it's not always that easy, but yeah.
Well, designing it anyways, right? It's just like, oh yeah, I'll have something sketched up by tonight or something. Yeah.
He already has a couple ideas. My cousin lives up the street and they have about 20 birds, and we paid attention to how they do things and got a lot of tips along the way. So
that's super helpful.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So we're able to utilize a lot of our friends and family and neighbors that are up this way. And I would love to get into bees as well. So
right. That's a list already. Just the homestead wish list, right?
Yeah.
Chickens, bees, fruit trees, garden, but like you were saying, like all those different berries, and that's a lot.
We're gonna put together some raised beds. I would like at least 2. I don't want to get too big right now. I grew potatoes last year, and it did surprisingly well. So, kind of just keep adding to it. That was more to prove to myself that I could do it.
Sure.
I can make this work, but I have all my seeds. I'm excited about it. So.
Your previous place were you in Maine prior to this or Massachusetts?
We're from Massachusetts, but we bought our first home in Maine.
Got it. Okay. Did you have a garden in Maine then, or no? Yeah. This is your first place.
Nothing grew well there. It was weird land. Nothing thrived there. It was odd. It was not good. Everything here is just, I don't know. I kind of paid attention to little things like, what does the dirt look like? And I'm no expert on that, but like, what does it look like? Like, how does the grass look? Is it, our grass is all pasture grass. Like, it's thick, deep rooted grass, and it's nice. So, things have the ability to like get in there and really grow and thrive, in my opinion. And you can see it just from what my neighbors are growing. They all have gardens.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. Oh man, I had a question. I forgot to write it down, but so how do you decide what to tackle next? It's like making decisions. Is it, is it very like a formula, or you're just like, I'm most excited about this one, so we're going to do this one next?
I think for me, food's the most important, and what I'm what's time sensitive. So right now it would be the food that I can plant. So what do I need to be planting now to be harvesting in July, August, whatever? Like how can I be, or prepping, what fruit tree should I be planting right now in hopes that next year we'll have some sort of a crop with it. So things like that. Like what am I up against with time and season, and how do I do that? So so I think the raised beds are probably the most logical right now. I would like to do garlic, onions, potatoes, zucchini, tomatoes, things like that. Things that we eat a lot. I'm not going to get anything with berries, so I just want to get that all in the ground this year, but just to kind of prep it for next year. But as far as
Sure.
real food, like what can I grow? What's going to do well this summer, and what do we always eat? What can I cross off my list going to a store or going to, the farm down the street? Because that adds up. I think last year I must have bought $500 worth of berries. It was insane.
Whoa.
Well, yeah, I burnt a couple batches when I was canning. So
That will happen. Or like break a jar and
so many. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. All of that. I guess it's kind of like race against the clock, so to say.
yeah, always falling behind, and just next weekend is just trying to catch up what you didn't get to last weekend, and yeah, know exactly how it goes.
Yeah. Do you guys have a garden right now?
We have seeds started.
Okay.
So we moved our garden beds. I built this really weird design. I was just playing around with stuff. So instead of like putting up a fence to keep the deer out,
Okay.
I had built raised beds and put like a barn style roof over it with fencing on it. So I'm fencing the plants in instead, because fencing's really expensive and all this stuff was free. And so I put like hinges at the top, and so like it swings open. It looks like a DeLorean doors like swinging up, and it's like the weirdest thing ever. But it worked pretty well last year.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I moved them from where I put them originally. They were in the shade of the house most of the time. Bad spot. So I moved them to the other side of the house this year and have yet to refill them. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So like I got last year's like compost and stuff that I gotta like, all that fill is still on the ground. So I gotta load it up in a wheelbarrow, bring it over, dump it in, and then all the wood chips. So I do a deep litter method for my chicken coop. So it's like, I don't know, whatever, 8 inches deep, and it's 4 to 5 yards worth of wood chips. And so they poop on that all year long. So I rake it all out, and in the like early part of the year, I spray it. I get really wet, and then I pile it up and then put a tarp over it, let it sit for 2 to 3 months. So right now it's about the 2-month mark. I'm just going to call it early and start loading up the garden beds with all that compost. So
yeah, I need to be utilizing my pig compost pile. That's something else I have to get into, learning how I can properly be composting, because we have quite the mountain.
I bet you do. It doesn't take long for the 700-pound pigs to create quite a mess, I'm sure.
Yeah, no. So we, it's definitely composting on its own, but I think there's probably a more efficient way. There definitely is a more efficient way to be doing this.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's always an animal walking by. We have 5 animals.
That's funny. I was like, does she need to go? I don't know.
No. Cats and 2 dogs inside. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
I do remember my other question. It was you said you were talking to neighbors and other people about like, gardens that they have and how they're doing things and learning whatnot. Was it pretty easy to like fall into a community there? Or I'm sure being your husband being a firefighter and like EMT, in your community, like that seems to help quite a bit because you really quickly get to know your neighbors and whatnot. So
Yeah, so he's actually a firefighter in Massachusetts, south of Boston.
gotcha. Okay. So not exactly the neighborhood.
No.
Got it.
No, everyone's just really friendly up here. And as soon as we moved here, I wanted to find, different places, different farm stands to get my food. And there's, our neighbors just drop things off to us. We have a guy down the street that grows zucchini, summer squash, tomatoes, and he just brings us bags of it. So, talking to him, how did you build your garden? How, what works with your bed? His property is the same border as mine. We all live on a cul-de-sac and we're all bordering the same woods. So, what's going to work for him will most likely work for me. Different sunlight, but ideally same conditions. So, and then there's a farm about 1.5 miles away, and it's just a small family farm. They sell their honey and their eggs and stuff, but they must have 5 acres. And this woman and her husband, she cans everything. And I talked to her about dandelion jam because, dandelion jelly, because my yard is just overflowing with them. And we don't treat our grass. We don't do anything. There's no chemicals and no pesticides out there. So I was like, what can I be using these for?
Yeah.
They're seen as a nuisance, but it's a healing herb. So, so just conversations with people, and everyone's so much more friendly. Massachusetts people they can be way more abrasive. It's ever so slightly different. As soon as you cross that border, it's more friendly. You can have a conversation with people, and I'll talk to anybody. So it's just like, and I've talked to different farmers, and, I feel like there's a farm here every half mile. So it's easy to start to build those relationships and just, pick their brains and, hey, like, how did you start this? Or, hey, what's the best time to be growing this? Or, how do you make it thrive? Like things like that.
Sure.
It's just,
Go ahead.
No. It's just using your community, and I guess, like you had mentioned before, not being afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, if it helps to just be naturally curious about things and what people are doing. Like, oh, you're interested in my hobby? Like, because that's what a lot of people like. It's either a hobby or just like, it's just a thing I do. And you're almost like looked at funny for like being curious about just some everyday thing that they do. Like, I wasn't even sure anybody cared about that. Like, just tell me what I want to know. Yeah. I'm here to learn. Yeah.
So much better. I get a lot more out of, that one-on-one conversation. You can look anything up on the internet, and I've learned a lot from YouTube or Instagram, but there's nothing like seeing somebody in your zone, in your area that's done it and has succeeded at it, and troubleshooting with them.
Right. Yeah. It helps I'm way more of like a hands-on learner. Unless there's something that I have to know. Like, obviously I can't just go to somebody all the time. Like, show me how to repair this broken thing. But yeah, when I can learn stuff face to face, that helps things click.
Yeah. So I noticed that when we were looking to move to a certain area, I kind of researched the towns, and I actually went on each town. We narrowed it down to 3 towns that we really wanted. And I went on their Facebook pages and just watched the commentary back and forth and and a lot of it, was just friendly, or, hey, we have extra eggs. Does anyone need these? Or, hey, I'm about to plant this. Any suggestions? And it felt right. It's kind of farm country out here, but still, I don't know, populated enough that you get a neighborhood out of it. It's just, it's good. I like it a lot.
I have never heard somebody use like Facebook that way, or, that's a good tip for looking for somewhere where you want to live, like Facebook or Nextdoor, or that type of thing. That's pretty smart. I'm gonna tell that to everybody now. Like, if you're looking to move, like, check out their Facebook page and see what they're talking about.
Tells you everything. So
All
it
the
was,
dirty laundry is all out there on Facebook on
yeah,
their city pages. Yeah, that's really
yeah.
funny.
You just get a gauge, like you want to know because you want to like your neighbors or, the community they're in. And it was this point in my life, it was just important.
Sure. And
Yeah.
you could just be like friendly with your neighbors, get along with your neighbors. Like they don't need to be your best friends. Like,
Yeah. We have good like neighbor relationships.
yeah,
I don't know. Like my husband works a lot. He does overnights every however many days or whatever. So if he is not here, we have a neighbor that I would notice this only when my husband was working, but he would drive around our cul-de-sac like once during the afternoon and once like when the sun was setting. I was like, what is he doing? And I guess he was checking on our house. So, and he knows my husband's at work. And he's an older guy. He's in his 70s. He's the one with the garden that helps us out a lot. And I said to my husband, I was like, why is George driving around the neighborhood? He's like, oh, he just does like a check twice a day. And, he doesn't have to do that. And
sure.
he doesn't waves and continues on. But like, he's looking out for me. And I think that's really nice. And, we have other neighbors. We don't have any farm equipment. We don't have a tractor, which we should have. But we don't have that. So we have a neighbor right down the street and he'll drive his tractor up and he's dug out half that pig pen for us and helped us dig the foundation for the barn and so much stuff. And it's just nice. And my husband will go over and help him with whatever project he has. And it's just, it's just a good hand in hand relationship. And it's really nice.
Sure. Yeah. That sounds really great. Like having those connections, access to those resources, and returning the favor where you can. That's what really makes like a strong community. That's also really nice about your neighbor too, checking in on you. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out, but no, I think it's pretty cool. It's a nice feeling.
We've got people that drive by our house. I was like, what is that guy doing?
Yeah,
and like
odd.
So we've come to realize that a lot of people drive around here just to take pictures of the mountains. And so like I actually stopped the guy. Like I looked at I'm like, hey, what are you doing out here? I'm like, oh, I've been coming up here for quite a while now. I live over in blah blah blah, and I've been coming up here the last couple of years and just taking pictures of the mountains. But he does it like every week or like every other week. So like, how many pictures do you have? And I don't know. So it's I kind of threw that out there kind of as like a, hey, by the way, like we're vigilant. We're watching. Like
notice this, yeah.
Yeah, we noticed this. Like we're not gonna and I've seen him since I like stopped him and talked to him for a minute. And I wasn't like a dickhead or anything about it, but
yeah,
I don't know. Things are still getting weird. Like, yeah, like we're super glad city not be in the city or anything. But also weird stuff can happen in the country too. And you can't it's easy to let your guard down.
Very. Yeah. No. I don't take for granted just because where I am puts me at no risk. So
right.
Hence Duchess, that's what she is. She is not a livestock guardian dog at all, but they're meant for property protection and
property and people
that,
sure.
They know their family, and I know that dog would, if she had to, would put her life down for me. So, and I would.
It's gotta feel crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't come knocking at my door late at night with that.
No, not at all. Yeah, we've been thinking about getting a dog too, just similar reasons. Being gone during the day for work and whatnot. Sometimes I got to be out of town.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a good feeling. So
yeah, I mean, I'm used to it, but it's just we obviously have a security system. We have everything and, just multiple aspects of different types of security. But I really feel like the dogs are my best resources. One of them, we have an Alaskan Malamute, her hearing and her intelligence, it's scary. Like she will hear something long before anybody else does. And if she alerts, Duchess then picks up on it. So it's like this perfect system.
Sure. Yeah. They pair up and work
Yeah.
to each other's strengths. That's very cool.
So if they're both barking and alerting, it's like, oh no.
How do you even manage all that dog? I mean, just one could throw you around, right?
Yeah.
Drag you across the floor.
If she's doing her thing, I don't get in her way. I let her do it.
That's probably a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. I if she's doing something, there's usually a reason, and I don't stop her. If she's incessantly barking at like a coyote or a bobcat, I try to put an end to that, because that's, we get it. It's been gone for 30 minutes. Like, but something else, like I let her.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you're looking forward to the most in your plans and what you're trying to accomplish on your property? Is it just homegrown healthy food?
Ideally it's to just be as self-sustainable as possible, and never, or maybe not never, but having very little fear that if certain aspects of this sounds so like ice, but if certain aspects of our typical way of life, or the standard way of living were to ever be disrupted, that I don't have a fear that's going to set in. It's like, okay, I have this skill to do this, or I am okay with doing this. And, I could branch off of that. I'm sure you probably know where I'm going with that, but like, yeah. I don't want to get like crazy prepper or anything, because I don't think I'm that, but I like to have a certain skill set and ability to not have to be reliant on the world around me if I didn't have to be.
Right. So yeah, look at all these common occurrences that happen to people all the time. They never think it's going to happen to them until it does, and then they're up a creek without a paddle. And
right.
Just a little bit of preparedness, a little bit of forethought could have saved them a lot of headache, a lot of stress. No, I'm with you. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we just put a generator hookup. We would love a solar generator, to not be gas reliant. What else? Firewood. We have a wood stove. Like, I couldn't live without that. It's the greatest thing. I love it. If I have to cook on it, I can. It'll heat.
That's very cool.
Yeah, my whole first floor and a little bit of my second. It's great. We need a hand pump for our well. So all these things, but just a little bit at a time. And obviously, I'd like to live nicely and, have my nice things, but I want to just know that I can provide for my family without a grocery store,
Sure.
World event or, weather tragedy happens, like we're not losing our minds, and, we'll be okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, wrapping up here, what would you tell people that want to get started, that also want to, have some pigs, have some chickens, fruit trees, get on a little bit of land, anything like that? What would you tell them?
I guess the biggest thing is like kind of know where you want to go and make sure the land's at least semi-appropriate for what you want to do. If you want to eventually be off grid, like, do you have a water source? Do you your sunlight, your, the ability to grow things, or even just small, like, I didn't start big. It was because I was sick and I had to narrow it down. And the first thing I ever grew was like an herb plant. But it just find what kind of works for you and what you can do and what you can change. And like what can you cut out that could be hurting you, and how to make it simple.
I bet that herb plant was a great confidence booster, though. That
Well,
like, hey, I can do this.
it,
It died. Oh,
it
well.
I had to start over, but that's, that was the first thing. But start off with I would suggest starting small with animals, maybe chickens. That's considered the gateway animal.
Mhm.
Build your infrastructure, and have 2 or 3, and get your eggs. Start maybe growing some microgreens. You can eat them, and your chickens can eat them. Little tiny
Yeah.
things like that. Once you start feeling pride from one thing, it gives you more confidence to evolve with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I really appreciate your time, and I've loved this conversation. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you asking me to be on this. This was great.
Yeah, no problem. I'm looking forward to seeing what else, what comes next, the raised beds or chickens or. So.
I know. To make a homestead page. My pig page is just a fun hobby.
I'll have to look for that one.
Yeah.
By the way, can you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah.
I'll have links, but just let them know.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram under the Kingston Pigs. So it's all about those guys. So I have female farm pigs. So yeah.
Awesome.
It will be linked on there.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I am Matt DeRozier of Farm Hop Life. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and visit farmhoplife.com.
Inside of the city, the people are crazy, out of their minds, they ain't got a clue. We gone away, headed west for Montana, left family and friends, all I got now is you. We both got new jobs, a house and a homestead, thinking this was the life, all that there'd be. After our firstborn, you had to stay home. That's when the work got in the way for me. Well, I started Farm Hop Life. We'll come to your farm to help and to wander. Me and the family, a truck and an RV. Send us a message and there